What's up, everybody? Bryce Koon here. We're getting ready. As we went live, Travis Darno with a big fly, 2-run homer. That's what I'm being told. Braves trying to get back into it as we get ready. But we're talking college football. We thought this would be an escape away from the game. But, man, we're going to be keeping you updated on the game, but we're talking about a wild and wacky weekend. The Ramblin' Wreck hoodie is on. Hopefully this video doesn't get demonetized. It'd also be nice if it could get triple-digit views. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, obviously, with this show as well. It always goes off the rails. Yes, we're looking at you, Jonesy, here on tonight's episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
We're live. I'm in the wrong spot. Ralph, put me in the right spot, you fearless child.
Remember that I moved you before the show started, and then you got out and came back in. So remember whose fault it actually is.
If you're tuning in and you want to know why I just called him a hairless child, the naked mole rat that he looks like on screen right now, it's because he told Tech fans that he would indeed shave his entire face if they beat Miami. Somehow they conjured up enough voodoo to be able to beat Miami down there in one of the most inexplicable calls I have ever seen in any type of sporting event ever. And that's even for the folks that want Brian Snicker fired. That being said, Will, you're going to have to eat some crow apparently on tonight's show. We're going to talk about that game.
Yes.
We're going to talk about a lot of games. It's going to be a lot of fun. Ralph Leary, Bryce Koon, Will Mattis here on the Crowded Booth. Happy Monday evening. Don't let anyone ever tell you that there is a bad week of college football. I mean, look, it's college football. Well, I know you didn't stay up for this. The USC-Arizona game was absolutely nuts. Like, that was crazy. But all this being said, it's the only time of the year where I'm, like, sitting on my couch watching something that has no bearing on my life up until 2 a.m. on a Saturday night. Like, I don't know any other thing I'm going to watch that late other than college football. 2 West Coast teams. And the Pac-12 after dark, man, it is really proven we're going to miss it. Like, I think we're really going to miss the Pac-12. So, hey.
It's just getting a rebrand. That's all. It's going to be the Big Ten after dark.
Fair enough. Big 10, Big 12 after dark. Grow it back fast, Ralph. Me and you got faces for radio. Absolutely. That's why this show can also be found on radio. Our partners over at WQEE. Exclusive partnership with the folks over at WQEE. Nobody else is allowed to do that, especially if your name of your publication starts with Yakets Monline. You can't do that. That's for sure. Let's rock and roll. Let's talk about this. College football was absolutely nuts. So we're going to start with that primetime CBS slot. Alabama makes a statement with a win over the Aggies. Guys, we talked about this last week. This was an opportunity for a team to stake a claim in the SEC West race. Nick Saban pulled a Lee Corso, said, "Not so fast, my friend." Will, lead it off. Alabama's still alive and well. It might not be the Alabama that we're used to over the past 4 years, but, man, they still have a ton of talent, and Jalen Milroe is getting more comfortable.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Alabama's really coming into their own. This was huge for them, getting a big road win. And unfortunately, we should have known better than to put our faith in Texas A&M to slay the giant that is Alabama, because they fell apart again. This was a real chance to keep Alabama out of the playoff and kind of in their season, at least their postseason, where their goals are. Just put that to rest here in the middle of the season. This was a strange game. It was not really at all what I expected. 23 rushing yards for Alabama, 67 for Texas A&M. Neither team could run the ball. Both of these front sevens are really, really good. Knew that coming in. Knew Texas A&M's front seven was going to give Alabama trouble in the run game. But, I mean, Jalen Milroe, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He played his best game. It took a while for Alabama to get going, but I think new offensive coordinator Tommy Rees is starting to gel with Jalen Milroe and figure out what this offense does well and how to call plays for that. It just took time. I said the same thing about Georgia, and now you see Alabama. They're starting to gel. They're starting to get comfortable on offense. We knew how good the defense was. The defense has shown this year, probably minus the Texas game, but we know how good Texas is with their weapons. They're going to be hard to stop anyway. That Alabama was going to be carried by their defense, and we thought the run game, but that wasn't the case in this one. how about the game by Jermaine Burton? I think this is the first good game, even good game he's had for Alabama. Hit 9 catches, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was uncoverable. Isaiah Bond added 96 yards receiving and a touchdown. So it looks like Alabama's found 2 playmakers on the outside. They got a quarterback comfortable. They got a coordinator that knows how to call plays for this offense now. You know, but one thing I still saw out of Alabama was a lot of penalties, a lot of pre-snap penalties that they're still working through with an offensive line that's just getting better and better each week.
Yeah, and Caden Proctor is a guy that they were able to pry away from Iowa last cycle, and immensely talented. I know you didn't really get to watch this full football game. You could see him learning though as the game went on. One of the talented A&M defensive linemen really made their way upfield, and Proctor, instead of trying to stop and change direction, very hard for a big man to do, and it also allows the defense to make an inside cut. He just guided him like 5 yards past Jalen Milroe. So you mentioned it's an offensive line that's starting to come into its own. The passing game, Jermaine Burton, we all know what he did at Georgia in year number 1. He's got a flair for the dramatics, no doubt about it. Talking with the Aggie crowd a little bit, 9 catches, 197. What was big for me in this, he had the 46-yard broken play, we'll call it, that Milroe was able to find him on, but he averaged 21.9 a catch. So they're really starting to move the ball downfield in what they want to do when you look at their yards per pass attempts as well. Love what Alabama was able to do. Hold on against an A&M team that, look, I don't think we've really talked about Max Johnson a ton necessarily and really gone into what he is. I think that Max Johnson is a serviceable SEC quarterback, and that is very good. It's better than any 3 of us could do. It's better than a lot of people across college football could do. I don't think he's a dynamic playmaker, and that's why he hasn't been the starting guy at A&M. Ralph, your thoughts?
I think that, just real quick, I think that really showed in this one. I mean, this is probably the best defense he's faced in college, and it kind of shows that he's just not that guy. He's not a dynamic guy.
He's not that guy, pal? Is that what you're trying to say?
He's not that guy, pal.
I mean, yeah, he's not that guy. Ralph, your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, Texas A&M, I don't remember exactly our picks on this. I do think that I picked Alabama, that I couldn't pick Alabama. I don't remember. A&M has a lot of talent. They can still accomplish a lot, but, man, this does really hurt because you get them in your backyard and you just can't find a way to pull it out.
Well, we were talking about it this week mostly is, that loss to Miami didn't look bad with them being undefeated all year. And then losing to Tech, that loss really hurts you now. And then losing to Alabama at home, I mean, you had a chance to beat them. I feel like Alabama gave you a chance, I gave you a shot, and you just didn't execute on it. I do want to say one thing: Edgerrin Cooper has a personal hatred for teams from Alabama because he had 3 sacks against Alabama and 2 sacks against Auburn. I mean, he's got something against Alabama school for some reason, but. Yeah, going to Max Johnson, like you said, is the best defense he's played. He's not really the dynamic playmaker that Cooper Wegman, or not Cooper Wegman, Connor Wegman is. Wegman just better with his feet. That was able to help their offense out. Max Johnson more the pocket passer guy. He's still really good, but Alabama's got really good throwing the ball deep this year. I mean, obviously you saw what Jermaine Burton did on Saturday and what they did against Texas, and even though they didn't win against Texas, they threw the ball deep a few times and got some big plays out of it. So Alabama was just relying on the run game to hold them in there for a little bit and then open up just a deep ball pass. It's truly what their offense is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Milroe has a really good ability to throw a deep ball. I mean, we've seen he's been able to go vertical a lot. When you look at the second half, guys, this is what was nuts to me. Just 3 points for A&M. A&M did not score in that third quarter, just 44 total yards, which this Alabama defense, yes, we know Dallas Turner. Yes, we know, different options. Terrion Arnold is really starting to come into his own. He was a highly rated recruit. Fair enough, Ralph. I was sitting in Ralph's upstairs, the old studio, I guess we can call it, and it was my first crystal ball prediction, Terrion Arnold to Alabama. Just a couple days before signing day. That being said, Terrion Arnold is really starting to come into his own there in the back end as a secondary that has weapons, has talent, but man, could they live up to it? I really liked that. And then one more stat. In the second half, the Aggies were just 1 for 5 on third downs. Will, I wanted to get your thoughts on the end game management. This show is going to be full of game management by coaches. I'm glad
you brought it up because I was
go there for me. What do you think about Jimbo's decision there at the end of the football game?
Well,
maybe explain it for folks that didn't really know what was going on.
Right. Well, I think overall, especially in the second half, this was a very poorly managed game by Jimbo. he kind of let it slip away from him.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch the end of that game, they're trailing. It was 26-17.
Yes.
They get down in the red zone. Alabama stops them. They end up kicking a field goal to make it a touchdown game. I really didn't have a problem with that, but I didn't like how much time they took off the clock. I think they probably should have just went ahead and kicked it on second or third down just to save time and try to get an onside kick and get the ball back. Because the defense was still playing well for Texas A&M. I mean, they just couldn't score on Alabama. So, I just think overall he just let it slip. He let it slip away from him. Not sure why. You don't expect that from a guy that's been a head coach as long as he has and coached in as many tight, big games as he has. And even more interesting is he had 2 former head coaches as his coordinators. You would think he'd have the help, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know their minds enough. I don't watch them enough, watch their games closely enough to kind of figure out what they were thinking, to try to think what they were thinking. I don't know.
Weird.
I think it is weird. I think Jimbo has a lot of faith in his players, which is good. I think him taking a backseat from play calling has allowed for that. And I think that's a lot of what that was, especially trying to get that touchdown late in the game. He trusted Max Johnson in that offense to get in the end zone, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's really weird. You were down 9 late in the fourth quarter because of a safety, which was a weird one. You got intentional grounding, and it's Mario Cristobal is definitely going to not join the show, but Cristobal, he outdid Jimbo, and that's very much well. We're going to talk about that in a second. You're down 9 late in that fourth quarter. You are facing a 4th and goal at the 2-yard line, and you call a timeout, and you sit there and think to yourself, okay, the defense or the offense is going to stay on the field. Like you don't call a timeout to kick a field goal, and that's what they did. And so it's weird to me that they did that, because then you burn a timeout where it could have helped you on the back end if you're able to get the ball back or convert an onside kick, whatever you decide to do there. Just weird. But, like I said, that's something where
Alabama's final drive trying to run that clock out was weird too.
Yeah.
They get the first down and they throw it. I don't know if I'm thinking that was
bounced it. He bounced the screen ball.
I'm thinking that was an RPO.
Was heated.
I'm thinking that was an RPO, and Milroe shouldn't have thrown it. But that's on Tommy Rees calling an RPO. There's no need to call an RPO right there.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, it was the first play of that drive. Milroe literally.
Well, they ran for a first. They got a first down.
Okay,
and then
they got the first down, and it was the first play of the next set of downs. Yeah, weird. Ralph, any thoughts on that? I know you were kind of saying something there.
No, I was just talking about how they threw the screen ball, and it just didn't work, and it just you were just stunned by it. Like, why are you not just run the ball?
If you say that, but if he gets the throw to him, that guy walks 40 yards to the end zone.
I'm glad that he didn't throw it behind him, because the pass was forward. Thank God. If it had been behind and it wouldn't have made it to the sideline, it almost would have been as bad as what happened in Coral Gables. Man, I can't wait to talk about that game. But we'll move on. But all together now.
You might get a solo layout tonight.
I might get a solo layout for that one. If you missed the live show of me, I'm not dancing in the chair tonight. I'll tell you that. Not going to dance in the chair. We can't. We'll get demonetized.
We can throw a GIF up there.
We could throw the GIF up there. That is true. 2 GIFs were made off that video, which is great. Altogether, though, Alabama, they control their destiny now in the SEC West. Obviously, they're going to host LSU in the beginning of November. That feels like a game. We're going to talk about LSU here in just a second. That could really mean a lot once again, like it did last year. Ole Miss still on the outside looking in because they've got that win over LSU. It's going to make this race to the finish. And A&M's really not done yet. Like, A&M has the loss to Alabama, but it's going to – I don't know what all the tiebreakers are in the SEC West, but you could get really interesting if A&M is able to beat Ole Miss and then LSU beats Bama, and you've got – it's just going to be weird. Now, some of those teams are going to beat up on each other.
There's another
LSU's still got to play them.
There's another spoiler on that list that's got to play all those teams.
Yeah, it's Auburn.
Auburn loves playing spoiler, and Auburn gets 2 of them at home. So it's far from over in the SEC West.
It's this is why Dr. Bob is just the best ever. The best ever. It's not Miami. It's Miami Gardens, not Coral Gables, and that's terrible, why. Man. We have no knowledge of anything if Dr. Bob's not here. Let's roll to the next game. Red River rivalry, guys. You said you wanted to be different. Right. Sorry.
Right.
You said you wanted it to be different, Bryce. You said you wanted to be different. Well, I was different, and the Sooners came through. Dylan Gabriel with a fantastic game. Look, this is I think people are going to make jokes about Texas not being back. These are two really good teams, like two very, very good teams. One team had to win. Ralph, we'll start off with you in this one. Oklahoma gets a big win. Gabriel, 285 through the air. He ran for 113, a touchdown throwing, a touchdown passing, no turnovers for the quarterback who, look, he's a veteran, and he showed out, and I think he showed that he's played a lot of football. And he showed also why we probably need to believe in Oklahoma a little bit as we get closer to this playoff race.
Yeah, I think Dylan Gabriel played his best game that we'll see him play for a long time. This was a total game by him. Had 100 yards on the ground, had a 280 through the air. Just did his job, man. He played a great game. Just like you said a minute ago, didn't turn the ball over. He did what he was supposed to do from the get go. They had that early score, and it looked like, man, Oklahoma just had control of the game the whole time, even toward the end of the game. When then, they got the ball with what was it, a minute 15 left. I think going into that last drive.
I think it was under a minute and a half, I believe. I know that.
And it was just complete dominance on offense. Just with the 4 plays and 75 yards, just simple drive. I mean, it just looked like Texas didn't know what to do, and Oklahoma was just comfortable back there. They didn't care how much time was on the clock. They ran the ball down. They got the ball down the end zone or downfield, scored, and only gave 15 seconds left to Texas. And it was over after that. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, it was really, really good to see how Gabriel commanded this offense. You go back to that drive, Ralph, you were correct. About a minute 17 left on the clock, and they nearly used the whole rest of the clock. They went down the field in a minute and 2 seconds. Gabriel was able to find his receiver in the corner of the end zone. Electric crowd. You look at the numbers. Oklahoma, 486 total yards. Texas, 527. This is the difference for me, though, Will, and you can talk about what you want to talk about. I just wanted to let you know what I think the difference is. Red zone attempts. Oklahoma, 6 of 6 in the red zone. Texas just got there 3 times. Means they had some explosive plays, but they were just 1 for 3 in red zone attempts. And look, Oklahoma, Brent Venables has got something cooking up there in Norman.
Yeah, you bring up the red zone. That's been a struggle for Texas all season long. They have not finished drives for touchdowns. Another big one in this game, 3 turnovers for Texas, 0 for Oklahoma. To me, that's the real difference. Quinn Ewers losing a fumble and throwing 2 interceptions. And you throw in the red zone struggles. They got stopped on 4th and goal. That's 4 and out inside the 5. That I count that as a turnover. And then penalties. Texas penalized 9 times for 70 yards. Texas, you look at all the stats, and they probably should have won this game if they take care of the ball and if they could finish off drives. Yeah. But Oklahoma kept themselves in it. They played great defense. It was finally kind of the Brent Venables defense that we've been expecting him to bring back to Oklahoma from Clemson. And it seemed like it kind of all came together for him on Saturday. They took advantage of Texas's mistakes and really made them pay.
Yeah, they took advantage of mistakes. Obviously, the blocked punt. We saw that, the early heroics and the early fireworks in this game that both sides were able to really, really hone in on. Love this game. I mean, this is going to translate as a rivalry to the SEC very, very well. It's going to be a lot of fun. It adds another historic rivalry for sure.
And watching that game, yeah, I agree, yeah. Dr. Bob. Watching that game, I was thinking, wow, they're coming to the SEC next year. How awesome would it be if the SEC moved the SEC championship game to the Cotton Bowl every year? That would be it would never happen.
Am I wrong in? Well, we'll tell you this: SEC Media Days is in Dallas next year.
Yes.
So they've moved towards that. Now, the conversation in Nashville this past summer was, would they ever consider moving the SEC title game out there? I don't know if they do it in the Cotton Bowl, but I know they'd love to do it at Jerry's World. They're going to
do it inside. They're not going to play any conference championship games outside if they can't help it. Mm-hmm. Like Pac-12 plays in Vegas in a dome. Big Ten plays in Indianapolis. I think the only one outdoor is ACC.
The ACC plays outdoors.
Technically the Sun Belt because it's whoever has the best record in the Sun Belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. The MAC plays it at Ford Field, I believe, in Detroit. I think
the MAC is
all 25 fans show up for that game.
Hey, Bowling Green fans might come in droves if they make it.
They got blanked by Miami, so I don't think so.
Of Ohio.
That's
the
right.
Cyclical effect, the circle of life that happened in that series. Very wild. Let's move on to the next game. And I don't know which one's on the docket, but I do know.
It's your favorite game.
It's the game apparently that I played in, according to Ralph. No, if I'd have played, well, I could probably play defense at some point this game. You've seen the highlights. LSU's defense does just enough. Now, guys, this is a group that has been criticized, scrutinized, has not been good enough, and for a lot of LSU fans has been the reason that this team won't go to a playoff because the offense is amazing. Let's get it out of the way. Jaden Daniels is unbelievable. The guy needs to be in the Heisman conversation. I don't agree with a ton of things that RG3 says. I do agree with his post-game assessment of he's one of the best players in the country. And if Caleb Williams can win it with 2 regular season losses last year, Jaden Daniels should be able to as well. There shouldn't really be a conversation. He means that much. He's the reason they won this game. Dynamite player. Ralph, you texted me during the middle of it. You texted all of us and said, this kid embodies like LSU. How can you not like him if you're an LSU fan? You got to get fired up for him. That being said, the defense did just enough. Just enough. I'll talk about it in a second, but Will, when you look at this game, Missouri, Luther Burden's a star. He's going to be a day 1 pick. Brady Cook shows why he is a very, very solid SEC quarterback. And not even solid. Like he's a really good quarterback. Like I think it's safe to say he's one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Your thoughts on this matchup and how it played out?
This game kind of felt to me like Missouri kind of gave it away in the second half. Their offense kind of ran out of steam, and I don't think it was so much LSU making plays. I think it was Missouri shooting themselves in the foot. Brady Cook missing some throws. They had a couple drops in that second half, but LSU did a really, really good job in that second half of doubling up Luther Burden and making it tough to get him the ball. He was a lot quieter in that second half than the first
2 catches,
half.
I believe. Just 2 catches in the second half? Okay, yeah.
So really good adjustments by LSU. But it still, to me, just felt like Missouri kind of gave it away. I mean, they came out hot, came out quick. They go right down the field. They go for 2 and get it. I love that out of Eli Drinkwitz. Really felt like his offense would be able to score at will on them, and they kind of did. I think if you take away those 2 interceptions by Brady Cook, they probably win this game because that's kind of feels like the only way LSU is going to stop anybody. But Missouri, I think if they lean on the running game a little bit more in that second half, they might have pulled it off because Schrader had a great game, 114 yards and 3 touchdowns. But again, you've talked about it. Logan Diggs, that dude is an out-and-out RB1, had 134 yards on the ground. That dude's really good. I'm not looking forward to Auburn trying to figure out how to stop him this weekend, in addition to Malik Neighbors on the outside.
Oh, my gosh. Malik Neighbors. Brian Thomas Jr. didn't have, this is the crazy thing with Brian Thomas Jr. He's been doing so well that a 4 catches for 66 yards and a score is just like, eh. Like he was targeted 5 times. He had 1 drop, and fans were like, he sucked today. That's how good these guys have been. And so, yeah, we're going to preview that game really in depth here later on this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. You talked about Malik Neighbors. Logan Diggs, career high day, 134 yards, averaged 5.6. It speaks a lot. And I know he only had 4 more yards than Daniels, but Ralph, it speaks a lot to that LSU's been able to find a running back that can shoulder this load. It doesn't have to be Daniels the whole time because you can't afford Daniels to take the beating like he did consistently in that Missouri game. He got beat up. And so to have Diggs kind of offsets that. What'd you like about this matchup?
I'll tell you one thing. There's a stat I'm looking at right here. It's crazy to me. It's yards after catch. LSU finished with 86, which is, normally it's a great game. Missouri finished with 179.
Ooh.
And that shows you how bad this defense really has been this year. You talk about the run game. LSU ran the ball very well.
Well, Ralph, I'll say this. It's better than 285 yards that Ole Miss had. So that is improvement by LSU standards. But yes, you are correct.
Well, I'll say this. Luther Burden probably had about 175 of those yards.
It's ridiculous.
LSU just, their offense is elite. We've talked about it enough. Jaden Daniels should be there in New York in December. He's the best quarterback right now. In my eyes, it doesn't really matter to anybody else, apparently. LSU just, their offense is good. The defense is hopefully is getting better. They got oh God, Will's gonna hate me for saying this. It's more of a tune-up game this weekend. You play a team that's not a very good. It's not a very good offense. We know it's not.
Here we go.
Are you tuning up for Army? Is that what they're doing, Ralph? They're using Auburn as a tune-up game?
Can your defense play better against Auburn than it could against Missouri? Hopefully. I mean, I would hope
If
so.
they can't tackle. If they can't tackle,
If
it's going
they
to be a
can't
problem.
tackle, then Auburn might have a chance. But
Yeah.
you know, the voodoo is no longer. They're not in Jordan Hare. There's no Jordan Hare voodoo this weekend. So there's plenty of.
Auburn is 1-0 in their last trips to Baton Rouge. Okay,
What are they before that?
like 1-19.
What is the stat? Is it 03? Is it 03 the last time they won down there?
1999.
99. We were 2 years old.
2021.
Gosh.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That was Auburn's cigar game. There's an old smoking a cigar on the field at Tiger Stadium.
No, but look, seriously, talk about LSU here. The defense, did enough. It's very interesting. I was really concerned. 4 scholarship cornerbacks made this trip. 2 didn't even play. Like, you think about that. 2 of them didn't even play. They had a safety come down and play in the nickel and rotate at corner to spell guys. I mean, it was absolutely nuts in this game that they were able to get away with it. And Dr. Bob's right down there. The LSU social media was calling for Kelly's job at halftime. It was absolute gold. I go more in depth on our Go 24/7 YouTube channels on that on Sunday nights at 6 o'clock Central. But this really is a rebuild project for Brian Kelly. 34 scholarship players at the end of the 2021 season when they played Kansas State in the Texas Bowl under then Frank Wilson, the interim coach after Ed O was fired. So, 34 scholarship players, they're still rebuilding the depth of what LSU is known as and the brand of what LSU is known as. That being said, this is a big win. It's a really, really big win, and it's an example of, I think, how LSU in the blueprint of how you're going to win games going forward. We're going to talk about another team here tonight that I think it's, and I'll group this in with them. It's very dangerous to live off of turnovers. I think LSU is going to have to do it. I think that this other team's going to have to do it to be successful this season. But you able to get the Harold Perkins interception. He looked way more comfortable in pass coverage. That's a big plus. It allows you to keep 3 linebackers on the field. Then Major Burns is a fan favorite down here. He's got billboards all along Interstate 12 that they absolutely love the guy. He cannot cover. He can't cover my brand new baby cousin who's 2 months old. I mean, he can't cover. Like, he just can't. He's going to love the Auburn game. He's going to love the Army game because he's just going to get to put his nose down and play in the box and tackle, according to Ralph. So, that's all that being said, he gets the big pick 6. It's great. You're going to have to live off of vibes, in my opinion, if you're LSU, and you're going to be able to win on defense. And it's going to be very, very interesting to kind of see. Go ahead.
Update. Austin Riley just hit a 2-run homer to make it now 5-4 in the bottom of the 8 with 2 outs.
I still stand by my tweet. But that's huge. That's huge. Yeah, Hillary, if people don't know my wife, Hillary, she yelled in the other room as we're going live, Darnell, when he hit the 2-run homer. That's how I knew. That's why I didn't connect my mic. So she's pumped up for it. She's also pumped up. The Falcons got a big win over C.J. Stroud. So that's awesome. C.J. Stroud's look really, really good. Best rookie quarterback, I think you can say as well. Let's rock and roll here. Let's talk about it. Georgia, she just texted me 5-4. Yes, they told me on the show. Oh, God. Georgia dismantles Kentucky. I'll let you lead off with this one. It feels like it's just been the same story, and I don't want to laugh at Mark Stoops in Kentucky, but you're Georgia light. That's what your roster is. That's who they are. Devin Leary has not done enough for me to feel comfortable about them upsetting really anybody that's better than them. But 608 yards, Carson Beck, I don't know if he's broken a sweat this season. Like, the guy just – my dad called me earlier about an hour and a half ago. He said the guy looks like he's participating in the extracurricular activities. He's so calm and collective, and I'll just leave it there. Use your imagination. Will, your thoughts on this, because you were impressed with him after going on the road at Auburn and in front of his home crowd. I mean, he just picked apart. I'll leave it at this. I want to say this. The first throw to Marcus Rosemary-Jack Saint was beautiful. The first touchdown throw could not have put a better ball on a receiver. Man, he's electric. In Georgia, like you said, the big red machine, the big, what is it? What do they call it? Big mean machine of red and black or whatever they say. I need help here.
Dude, I don't know.
Austin Bob.
Yeah, I'm not
a
fan. I wouldn't know.
That's what I'm saying. They're good. Will, take it away.
I'm going to take the opportunity to say I called it and I told you so, because later I'm going to have to retract that about a different game. Because I did. I knew Georgia was going to roll in this one. Georgia, Kentucky is become a big rivalry, I think, in the SEC East, with Kentucky elevating its play and being almost exactly like Georgia, same style as Georgia. And I think there was some payback from 2 years ago, because Mark Stoops, when the game was over, ran some hurry up offense to try to cover the spread, and he did, and cost a lot of people some money. So I think that's why Kirby Smart went for it on 4th and 8 and got the touchdown with about 20 seconds left, just kind of rub it in, and to hang 50 on them. This was just a great matchup for Georgia. You watch Kentucky, their run scheme, they try to run right out of defense. You're not going to do that against this Georgia defense, because this Georgia defense, they pin their ears back, they play fast, they play hard. Total opposite of Florida. Florida defensively, they're not as aggressive, especially on the defensive line, as Georgia is. You talk about Carson Beck. I had a feeling coming out of that Auburn game, that was all he needed. They needed to go on the road. They needed to win a game. And they're just going to roll the rest of the way. He was great. 28 of 35, 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, an interception. You know, his job's pretty easy. He can be that comfortable when you can throw to Brock Bowers, who did it again, 7 catches, 132 yards, and a touchdown.
So good.
He has taken the number 1 spot to me for Heisman Trophy. If I had a Heisman vote, Brock Bowers would be getting it. Nobody can cover him. Nobody can tackle him. You can't bring him down. And Georgia's doing it like they've probably never done it before. They're doing it through the air. They don't have to run the ball. Ray Davis, after getting almost 300 yards, couldn't even get 60 against Georgia. So, I mean, this was all Georgia from the kick.
Yeah. You mentioned, too, Carson Beck being comfortable. You ready for this? 9 passing plays of 15 yards or more. The guy, he was able to be explosive. Rosemy Jackson, and I'll even throw this with you here, okay? You ready for this? We talk a lot about Brock Bowers. Bowers had 1, 2, 3 of the 9. That's what's scary. He only had 3 of those 9. Ra Thomas had a really nice game. The Mississippi State transfer really getting involved in this offense.
That touchdown catch was
okay.
Such a good catch.
I want to say this. I know I'm wearing the Ramblin' Wreck hoodie. A lot of Georgia fans, and I know we got a couple in here tonight, Austin Bodley, who really helped me out there. The Mean Machine in red and black coming down the tracks of that. I'll never forget what a fantastic night. Sig Ep at Georgia. Jake Fromm walks in. My buddy and I are dancing. We're having a good time, and they start singing the song. Awesome time. 2016, Bryce. We don't need to go back. That being said.
Oh, boy.
That being said. It's okay. The people that would know that don't really watch the show, so it's fine. Anyways, I got a half-broken pencil here, Ty Conderoga edition. All
right, Lee Corso.
The ability, there you go. The ability to utilize weapons other than Brock Bowers is going to make this team elite. If they can do that, it's not really going to matter like how good that running back room is, because they can get by with Dejan Edwards and Dylan Bell. Like, they're going to be able to do that. The offensive line gained a lot of momentum, like you said, in this game. That being said, that catch by Ra Thomas, it rivals, not because I'll give the Terry Godwin catch against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. I'll give that one props because of the magnitude of what it meant. But from a pure skill that I've never seen, that catch was unbelievable. Like that catch was
you got to talk about the throw by Beck. He put it in the perfect spot where only Thomas could get it.
Yeah, the only spot. And people say, well, you should. No, part of being a quarterback is putting a ball where only your guy can go and get the ball. Like, and it means letting your acrobatic, athletic freaks at wide receiver, which Georgia, a lot of people don't really know this, but Georgia knew they had coming into the season. They had probably the best receiver room they've had in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And that includes one that had George Pickens, who, what is that one that he's just like sitting in front of the TV watching himself get drafted?
That is the most disturbing picture, but one of my favorite.
You're talking about the guy that just cold cocked that Georgia Tech corner while he had his helmet on? That guy?
No one liked Trey Swilling anyways, so it's fine. It's absolutely fine. Absolute cheeks.
This
Anyways,
isn't This
keep
isn't a tech show. We don't worry
this is
about
a
it.
tech show, dude. I'm wearing the hoodie. He cold cocked Trey Swilling, and no one even cared. That
He
being
threw
said,
him into
also,
the wall behind the end zone.
into the hive. He threw him into the hive. Also, we keep it rolling here. He also squirted that water bottle on that Tennessee player. Keep
It
rolling.
was Garantano, wasn't it?
Jared Guantanamo Bay. All right, so Ralph,
And he can't read.
he can't. I don't know what he can do. That might have been borderline uncomfortable. That being said, Ralph, Georgia dismantles Kentucky. Your cousin, really, you need to text him because he just can't figure it out offensively. Devin Leary, I don't know what that. No, not that cousin. The cousin Devin Leary. He can't figure it out.
One.
The real one, the real live cousin. If he's not explosive, it makes Kentucky one-dimensional. And like Will said, Georgia handled Ray Davis in this one.
Yeah, and I think what we were talking about is last week. I said Ray Davis had a great game. You got to get him going to let Devin Leary open his game up because any other week you're playing some average team or Vanderbilt or Florida. He did all right. He just did his job. 10 for 26, 128, 2 touchdowns. Okay, that's all you need to do. Because our running backs had a great game. Well, when your running back gets stuffed for only 36 yards rushing, you got to do more than 10 for 26. You need to be 25 to 30, 35, something like that. You got to be more. It just feels like he's not making great throws right now. He's throwing to the wrong receiver. He's throwing to double coverage a lot. He's getting his passes batted down. It's just he doesn't look comfortable in this offense. And I mean, like I think at the beginning of the year when he was going through the transfer portal, I think a lot of people were saying, where he would end up, and Kentucky was thrown out there. I was like, they're just getting a little worse version of Will Levis, honestly. Yeah. And that's basically what they got.
There was one play specifically, guys, early in the game where he completely overthrew a receiver. And at that point, I was like, okay, he's not comfortable. This is not what you want to see. And look, I like Kentucky. We've talked about this. Mark Stoops has one of the better jobs in the country. I know I saw a comment earlier say Kentucky's still a basketball school. Like, of course, yeah. Like, I think that they are. Like, the tradition and what they have there, Richard Leary, sexiest profile picture alive. The fact that they've been able to, I like how that didn't even phase me, but like some of the other comments have phased me. Pause. Yeah. That being said, I think that they've got to be realistic about what they have in Kentucky. It's going to take a Herculean type of roster performance to beat a Georgia with where those two programs are. And now, look, it's not to say this team can't be the second best team in the SEC East. Like, they definitely can be. Like, I haven't seen their full schedule, and maybe we could talk about this. Could Kentucky go 11-1?
You still got.
They could. They got to play Tennessee,
Alabama, and Louisville.
Oh, they get Alabama too. Yeah, no, no.
So, but 8-4, 10-2, you could sit comfortably right there, and you could go to a nice little bowl game. You could make your chance in the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
You can go back to the ReliaQuest Bowl and have a 9-3 slobber knocker against Iowa again. You could do that.
Woo.
There's a lot of things I'd rather do than do that. And there's a lot of things I'd rather do than watch A.J. Minter walk Bryce Harper to open up the top of the ninth inning, which is what just happened. All right, that being said, let's roll to the next game. This is the
one more note. You mentioned Georgia's offensive line. Tate Ratledge was the highest rated offensive lineman in the country by PFF on Saturday. So
they dominated. Exclusive deal. You can't get that anywhere else other than this show. Keep going.
That just speaks to how dominant Georgia's offensive line was.
Yeah, no, they were. And opening up holes for guys like Dejan Edwards, powerful runner, Dylan Bell. Cash Jones didn't get as many touches. I know that hurt Ralph. But it is what it is. We'll have Palmer on later on this week to kind of talk about that and Georgia's performance. Absolutely. Rocio Iglesias is coming in, and we're going to move on to the game of the weekend. Guys, I danced.
Bryce, can we just go ahead and do it?
Do what?
Go ahead, Will.
Yep.
What?
Will, we set the stage for you?
I'm still here, but I don't see StreamYard. I don't know. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh.
All right. And Pete's here too. So Pete's got a.
All right, let's roll. Let's roll.
Okay. Yeah, I got to eat crow on this one. Georgia Tech. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. I hope you didn't take my advice last week when I talked about betting this game, to just take everything you can on Miami, put everything on Miami to cover the spread, Miami to hit their team total over. I hope you didn't, because Miami played probably one of the worst games they're going to play this year and may ever play. They were bad. They're really bad. Bryce, you teed it up earlier. Georgia Tech's defense, they have to rely on turnovers, and boy, did they get them in this game. 2 fumble recoveries, 3 interceptions for their defense. 5 turnovers for Miami. You're not going to beat anybody if you turn it over 5 times. Miami, they outrushed Georgia Tech 166-99. Total yards 454 to 250. That should tell you all you need to know about this game, that Miami probably dominated this game, but the 5 turnovers. I'm not going to apologize, because Georgia Tech, you didn't deserve to win this game, but I was wrong. You're making me eat my words.
And I want to say this because, Ralph, you got to talk a little bit about it. And a lot of the people who tuned in absolutely hated Ralph being on the show. And so I think if you did, you just might as well just turn it off, because it's going to happen.
No,
even
the only thing we'll ever agree with him on.
Yeah, all the way coming down the way down to Thomasville, Georgia, God's country. He believes that Tech should have won that game. And I want to say this. We talked about this on the show, and this is the approach I took. You know that the Tech show is more of a fan-based show. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I said, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it for tonight. In no shape, form, or fashion did Georgia Tech deserve to win this football game. You mentioned, I think, 250 yards of total offense. Will, it was 180-something before that final drive. When your offense generates 180, it's not a good day at the office. Your defense, while they looked more inspired, Kevin Sherr did blitz a little bit more coming from the outside. It looked a little bit better. You still didn't tackle amazing. You tackled a little bit better. Miami hurt themselves, but I do want to give credit to this. Tyler Van Dyke looked horrible. He looked terrible, made terrible decisions. Not the worst decision made of the night. We'll get to that in a second after we talk about the game. But you still had to be in the position to make those plays. So, like, for example, the interception thrown in the end zone, when Van Dyke throws it up, LaMiles Brooks comes across the middle. If you go back and watch some of these, the guys still have to read the quarterback's eyes and be in position to make a play on the ball. That's why you do that, to take advantage of bad throws. So that's why I think it's a little hesitant for people to say, well, he's terrible. Well, there's still 11 other guys that have to do their job to be able to take advantage of those terrible decisions. So, Ralph, hit what you want to hit on this game, and then we're going to talk about the biggest coaching blunder ever. But I do want to say Tech did not deserve to win this game. We're going to talk about it later on this week. There's a ton of things that need to be fixed this bye week that I think that are absolutely imperative. Because look, you can get to a bowl game. You can do it. 3 games. If you need 3 wins, and you still got UVA. You still have Boston College and Syracuse on the schedule. Can you upset one of UNC, Clemson, and Georgia? Clemson might be the best opportunity. Maybe UNC, you get them at home and you've got some type of curse. You got like Mac Brown's nudes on a phone somewhere. I don't know what it is. I have no clue what they got. They've got something over
at a booth out of context.
Out of context, late night. Yeah, there you go. You got Mac Brown's nudes. Go ahead and noodles. Come on, that's what the kids call them nowadays. Get your head out of the gutter. Ralph, go ahead.
I'm lost of words at this point.
I've got something you can lose. Let's roll. Come on.
Oh.
And if that we're going to the second. I'll tell you this though. If you go look back at this box score, just look at the box score. Don't look at who won. Don't look at the score. Don't look at the team which side was which. You just look at the box score and you say, man, that home team was really good. They played a great game. They looked like they were the best team out there. And then you throw up the score and the teams that play, and you're just shocked because you didn't expect this out of a box score. It looked like Miami just rolled over Tech. It looked like Miami showed it and said, "We're about to absolutely beat you," and they almost did. And it just I don't know. I said it on the show. Bryce, please explain what's going on here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, time out. This is a live reaction. Oh my gosh. Somebody just hit it to the wall. Oh my gosh. Hillary just walked in. That's nuts. Say hello, Hillary.
Oh.
Hey, she said, hey. Michael Harris just jumped up against the wall, made a grab, and then they got Harper out when he went too far off the bat.
Double up at first.
Double up first. Braves win game
Braves
2.
win.
Nuts. Take us to
Wow.
Philly. I still want to get to the offseason. Anyways, Michael
Please
Harris,
God, give
holy
me the
cow,
offseason.
the pride of Atlanta. Let's go. All right.
All
All right, keep going. Let's talk this game. Go.
Yeah. So my last few things on this, Tech, showed up. They took advantage of their mistakes, is what they could do, and that's all you can do in this situation. You don't do anything more than that. You play your game. I even said this: if you don't play good enough, you might get blown up by 40 or 50. I was wrong. I'll admit it. I'm a man. I'm 26.
But you're not 40.
Yeah,
you do look 40 with a beard, but yeah, keep going.
Overall, I just thought I was surprised. I mean, Bryce, you called me twice during the game. You called me talking about the setting up the show, and I said, I just remember saying, "Oh my God, they're throwing water balls at this guy." And Bryce goes, "What?" And he goes, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" And he starts freaking out. I said, "Oh yeah, that just happened, dude." So,
wow. No, in all seriousness, wow. That is. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are watching. That is an unbelievable catch from Michael Harris.
yeah, Gavin, we know. Shut up.
Okay. That being said, this is what I want to say about this. Yeah, Tech didn't have any business winning this football game. Have you all? Okay, let's go back to Oregon Stanford a couple years ago. Yeah. A couple years ago.
Okay, yeah,
When Mario Cristobal did this almost same exact thing, Oregon fumbles the football, Stanford kicks a field goal to tie it. They win it in overtime 38-31. You can tell me everything that you want to about, well, they should have never been in this position. The defense should have been able the defense should have been able to do whatever. Dr. Bob's stats and info department. Sorry, Will, you've been replaced. Dr. Bob is a wealth of knowledge. 2018 Oregon Stanford.
He was probably at that game.
Probably was.
He was
probably there.
He's been in every memorable game ever.
Don't strike me down, Lord Jesus. I think he might be omnipotent. I don't know. I think he's everywhere and all in one. I don't know what it is. Is Dr. Bob the Antichrist? That is the question we need to address. That's the question we need to address.
Dr. Bob is an entity. It's just multiple people in one.
He's multiple entities.
It's getting out of hand already.
Ralph, you know what? Dumbest coach. Just run the ad. Just run the ad.
Your soap is ugh, and your body wash is a synthetic detergent. But you're not a dish. You're a man. Switch to Dr. Squatch Natural Soap for Men. For men who build things. Open pickle jars on the first try. Slay dragons. And let their daughters braid their hair. Men who like to feel good and smell titillating. Dr. Squatch takes you places you never thought you'd go. Naked.
Wow. Okay. Let's go back to it real quick. We'll finish out with these first couple things, Ralph. Take overcomes Miami's massive blunder. Have you guys ever seen a worse call? Like we talked about it. He did this in 2018. Will, start off with you. I mean, this is coaching malpractice against your program. You literally didn't have to do anything. And you did something. And I've never seen anything like that. Like, is that the biggest coaching blunder you've ever seen?
Yes, but the worst I've seen in person was begging for 1 second back on the clock and then trying to kick a 64-yard field goal to win a game.
Ooh.
And it just so happens you run the field goal back 109 yards.
To them. Let them know.
That was pretty bad. Like that, the kick six is an incredible play that's never going to happen again. But of course, of that,
what happened Saturday night should have never happened again.
No,
ever.
it shouldn't.
But Will, what happened 5 years ago should have never happened again, and it did.
Especially the fact that Cristobal has done this before. It should never happen again. And he did own it today, which I don't think anybody was trying to pin the blame on anybody but him. But words are hard because there's no words to describe such a dumb decision.
Yeah. I also want to say this. Miami under Mario Cristobal is going to bring in talent. I think he's a great recruiter. That is the comment of the year.
Oh, that's so good.
That is the comment of
It's so good.
someone screenshot this. Dr. Bob is not omnipotent cultural expert, but he did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. If you know, you know. If you're under like 20, you have no clue what we're talking about. But if you know, you know. Wow. That being said, Mario Cristobal is going to bring in talent, guys. What he's not going to do is manage a game well. He's never done it. Like, he's never been able to do that. And we throw these out like, oh, he's a terrible game manager. People throw it out about different guys when they make mistakes. He is a terrible game manager. Like, he has no clue what to do. And I think that the only way Miami is able to do things consistently and confidently is you have to have a otherworldly OC and an otherworldly DC to be able to make up for that. I think that Miami is a team that is going to bring in the talent to be a top 10 consistent program. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to say, okay, they're number 7 coming into this year, but because of Cristobal's game management, we're going to knock them down to 14. Like, I think that's the type of adverse effect that he has on this team. Any thoughts on that before we get to our predictions for our Final Four?
There's an Auburn fan that we know that was very much leading the charge for Auburn to go hire Mario Cristobal away from Miami, and was very upset when they did not. And it was nice to see him say yesterday, "I'm so glad he's not at Auburn."
Do I know this person?
Yes.
You do know this person.
We have talked about it 1,000 times, I think.
But he will remain nameless.
Until this show's over with.
Okay, until we get to the private room in the back. All right, let's rock and roll. Our top 4. Will, we're going to hand it off to you. We missed on this. Now, before we do this, real quick, Ralph, don't put that up. Put that thing back where it came from, or so help me. Before we get there, shout out Dr. Bob. He compiled an Excel spreadsheet of our best bets that we're going to reveal on Wednesday night. You're not going to want to miss it. Dr. Bob, I don't even think we have enough merch to be able to reward you for what you've been able to do. It's amazing. It's amazing. So that being said, Kelly Gordy just liked the show on Facebook. We appreciate you for tuning in now, not before, because that would have been an interesting conversation. Let's get to our top 4. Well, so for some reason, the view count has gone up since we started this, which is wild. Will's top 4: Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Oregon. Washington, Oregon this weekend. So you're going to have a little movement in this top 4. We'll hand it off. What do you think?
This will likely be controversial, but no, this is not just for clickbait. Georgia, they're dominant. I mean, they showed it against Kentucky. I said it coming out of that Auburn game that was the game they needed to get rolling, and I think they're going to roll the rest of the way into the SEC championship and maybe even into the playoff. They look great. I think they're going to continue to look great. What they showed against Kentucky is what I expected to see from them in every game. Michigan, they haven't played anybody. I will agree with you if you tell me that, because they haven't, but my gosh, have they been dominant. If you look at the scores from their games, they're the scores are the same every game. They're winning between 34 or 41-7. They're stomping their competition, and they're doing it with a dominant run game, a dominant offensive line, a dominant defense. They look like, to me, the best team in the Big Ten. And then Washington, Oregon, to me, you're kind of splitting hairs. I think your Ohio States, Texas, Florida State, Penn State, they're kind of a step below these two teams right here. And I put Washington ahead of Oregon because their offense is just so explosive. Mike Jr. is leading that offense. They have, I think, the best offense in the country. And Oregon, on the other side, has the best defense in the Pac-12. They've got a top 5 defense in the country, in my opinion. And they've been my team out of the Pac-12 all year before the season started. I picked them to win the Pac-12, and I picked Bo Nix to win the Heisman. Saturday kind of may determine that, at least for Michael Penix and Bo Nix, their Heisman campaigns. I don't think this is going to be the last time we see Washington and Oregon play this year.
Yeah, I think those are the 2 best teams in the Pac-12. Michael, this game is going to be unbelievable on Saturday, because you have an Oregon team that is, for me, bona fide defensively. Like they've got a really, really good defense. Michael Penix, though, is going to be the best thing that they've seen. And so that is a clash of good on good, best on best, NFL on NFL talent. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I know it's going to be kind of fun too, because I think you were really, really high on Oregon all season. Ralph has really been high on Washington. So this is two guys I was high on, I think, like USC, and I'm wrong. I'm so wrong. So you guys get to like enjoy this because hopefully this is not the last times these two teams meet. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Ralph, you go with your top four, which is, I'm going to be honest with you, it's interesting. It's interesting. That's for sure. But I want you to explain it because I don't think it's out completely off topic, but it is interesting. Go ahead.
How's mine interesting?
That's interesting.
I struggle. Okay, ours is almost the same, except we have two teams mixed up. Just go ahead. Just explain yours. How do you feel?
Well, I think Will said it perfectly about Georgia and Michigan right now. They've been the most dominant teams this year. They've just handled business in their wins. Obviously Georgia had their little mishap against Auburn, and they still won the game. And they showed what they could do with their best players and their best athletes. So Georgia's still very good. Michigan's even as you get better week by week. FSU they came out against Virginia Tech to me this past weekend. Just played great football. I thought they handled business there. They looked great. I think Jordan Travis is actually fully healthy now. They're hopefully they're going to be playing better now. I mean, obviously, the last few weeks have been kind of like too close for comfort. This is where you start to play your best football now. This is where you start. Okay, we're mid-season now. Let's tune up everything else. We'll just be the best team in the ACC. Yeah. And Ohio State, the first half against Maryland, I said they might lose this game. I seriously, I thought they were going to lose that game in Maryland. I was texting Will. That plus 19, plus 17 was looking really nice, and at halftime, it blew open, and they didn't cover, and it blew by 20, and it's a bad beat. That's what it is. It really is. But yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this right now, though. Depending on who wins this Saturday between Washington and Oregon, that will change my top four instantly. Yeah, because whoever wins that game is going in my top four at 3 or 4 easily.
I think. Look, yes, and so go ahead and throw mine up there. This is my top four, and who I kind of feel I made a last-second change. I'm going Georgia, Florida State, Oklahoma, Oregon. For me, you can talk stats. We can look at these different things. The eye test is different. For me, Georgia and what they were able to do against Kentucky, who is a good football team, that I think that the giant has been awakened. I think that we can say the slumber's over. And so from here on out, are they going to dominate? Probably. I don't think so. Is this as dominant a team we've seen the past 2 years? No, of course not. But they're still very good. And I think one thing that Kirby Smart has been able to find is they can be very good in different ways each year. Year number one, it was an unbelievable defense that helped out an offense. People last year make jokes, especially a rival fan base, that a certain quarterback really wasn't all that good. Last year, that quarterback was very, very good, and he helped obviously a very, very good defense. This year, you've got a quarterback that I think is super uber talented, but he's starting to find his rhythm and what it's like to be an SEC starter. Florida State, for me, passes the eye test. When you talk about a team that can win a national title, I think it's all there for them. They've faced adversity. They've overcome some serious adversity, and they've got 2 really nice wins on their schedule. Clemson, to me, I know that they struggle, but Clemson's still a hard place to go play, and they still have talent. LSU, as LSU continues to win, that win's going to continue to really be impressive as well. All these things considered, I like Florida State and where they are. Oklahoma for me moved up because I think that Oklahoma is really good. Like I think that Oklahoma is very good. Like Dylan Gabriel and what they were able to do, there's a clear path to the title for them, or potentially Texas, but there's a clear path to the playoff for Oklahoma. Win the rest of your games, win the Big 12 title, and you're in. Dylan Gabriel is really, really good. This team's been slept on, but you started to look at some of the stats coming into the game. Once again, you can look at stats of the eye test, and I think Oklahoma passed both of those. Will, you mentioned when we took a look at that game earlier, Oklahoma was a team that has found some defense and played pretty well and being able to limit what Texas wanted to do. And then for me, Oregon. I think Oregon's one of the most well-balanced teams in the country. We'll see this weekend. It could change that. And, we're only doing 4. If you had to go 5 and 6 for me, I've got Michigan. I got Washington there. Michigan's still a really, really good team. For me, Will, it's just resume. I guess I look at these rankings of what have you done for me. These 4 teams are what have you done for me lately. Your resume up to this point, that's what it's in. Michigan's still a really good football team, and they're taking care of business. But we're going to know more when they play Penn State, when they play some of the tougher competition on their schedule, what they're really made of. And then Washington, like we've talked about, is going to be really, really fun as well. We're going to take a question here. Adam Burgess, does Alabama have a path to the college football playoff? Fantastic question as we round out tonight's show. Yeah, there we go. Do they have a path to the college football playoff? Well, yeah. I mean, they win the rest of their games, and they'll be there. So that's about as straightforward as I think we can get. I don't know if there's really some serious analysis that he's done. I mean, if you win the rest of your games and win the SEC title, you're there. Because this is what I'm saying. I know that the loss to Texas, whatever, you could be in the mix. Folks need to understand, if you win the SEC title, they're not keeping you out. Right. And it's going to be a very, very hard test to keep a one-loss SEC champion out. I
see a path where they get left out.
If they beat a Georgia? If they beat number 1 Georgia?
If they win out, if Texas wins out, avenges that loss to Oklahoma, I think Texas gets back in.
Because of the
tiebreaker. I think Alabama will need some help, even if they win out. I think they need Texas to lose again.
Yeah.
Then you talk about the Pac-12.
It depends on what happens elsewhere. That's true.
Washington and Oregon, if whoever wins this weekend, they meet again in the Pac-12 championship. The other team wins, that could put them in. I see scenarios where Alabama could win the SEC and get left out. That would be unprecedented. It will be the only time it will ever happen, especially with going to 12 next year, that the SEC champion doesn't make it. But we've talked about it all year, how wide open the SEC is. And across the board, the SEC is not as good as it has been in recent years. But I don't think any conference is. I think the talent is all spread out across the country now in every conference, every team. But that would be crazy. And you're probably right that they won't do it, but there's cases to be made.
I'll give you, there are cases to be made. I just don't think that the committee has the I'm going to put it a little more PG version, the gumption to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're going to see it. But I do understand, there is a case to be made. Let's say Oregon beats Washington on a last-second field goal, 34-31. Okay, that'd be really low scoring probably, but let's just say it happens, 34-31. Washington comes back in the Pac-12 title game, beats them 34-31 or whatever. There's a really good case because those teams have beat up each other in a really solid Pac-12. When you get down to it, if it's your Pac-12 champion and your Big 12 champion and your ACC champion, which is a Florida State, you also get in the conversation of your Big 10 champion. I mean, it's going to be really, really interesting to see from a brand value. I don't think so. Let's get to a couple more here because we'll go over that hour limit. JS Mix is right there. Thoughts on Louisville? Really good football team. And it's a team that has, to me, they're fine. They're just building on momentum of each week. They're growing. I think they're good. I think they're a top 20 team for sure when you look at the college football landscape. Do I think they challenge for the playoff? No, I don't think so. Can they challenge for the ACC title? I think they could get there. I think they can get to Charlotte because I don't know if anyone's beaten Florida State regular season, but Louisville avoids them, and that's huge. So interesting. Will, you got any thoughts on Louisville as a whole? I think they're much improved from week one.
I think so too, but I think they caught Notre Dame at a good time. I mean, it's
Notre Dame's gassed. Notre Dame's gassed.
The third Super Bowl in a row for Notre Dame, and they've got USC coming up this week, so they may have been peeking ahead a little bit. I think they caught them at a good time. They are a good team. They could get to the ACC title game, as Dr. Bob tells us. They have the easiest path, no doubt about it. But I think
Duke, though.
Plummer's a really good quarterback, but I think he holds them back. To keep them from being an elite team.
Yeah, I can see that. I think as a program, they're getting very, very. Hey, got a little spiciness in the chat over there.
Don't worry,
Dr. Bob, keep the clothes on, Dr. Bob. That being said, Louisville's really, really fun. I think that it's going to be really fun. to do that. Jackson, we'll answer Jackson's question and we'll get out of here for the night. Thoughts on UGA FSU National Championship? Who wins? Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. Rematch of the 2003 Sugar Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. 03 Sugar Bowl. Florida State, Georgia. God, that'd be a really good football game because you talk about two teams that have physicality. Be a really. And I'll answer Yellow Jacket one fan real quick. Are the Jacket Bowl hopes alive? Yes. Yes, they are. 3 more wins. We're going to talk about it later this week. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because you are the number 1 fan. Real quick,
Not 2003.
What was it, Ralph? 05? 99, 2000? I don't know when it was.
Dr. Bob says 03 Sugar Bowl, Ralph. I think you're wrong. I got to go with Dr. Bob. We're talking about 2003. I'll make the Tech fans.
It is the 03 Sugar Bowl. It is the 03 Sugar Bowl.
The only things that I remember from the 03 Sugar Bowl is Auburn getting beat by USC in 100-degree heat in September and then losing to Georgia Tech the week after that.
I was going to the 03 season. Apologies. My bad. ESPN goes back to 2003, so I can't go back one more year.
Anybody else remember Auburn getting beat by Georgia Tech in 2003? Because I do.
You were 6.
And I remember getting beat by USC. I was at that game. It was hot. That's about all I remember.
Okay. Well,
Georgia FSU national title.
Be a lot of fun.
I think Georgia wins. Georgia's defense is too good.
I think Keon Coleman will be a problem for Georgia's defense, though. I mean, he's a freak of nature, and I don't know. I hadn't heard anything. Johnny Wilson got hurt against Virginia Tech. I don't know.
Well,
if he was...
should these two play in the national championship, Georgia would be by far the best secondary Florida State has played. So it's very hard to predict the type of game Coleman would have.
Yeah, I saw some PFF numbers once again exclusive to Will Mannis. The PFF numbers. Look, Yellow Jacket fan, that's great. Awesome. Yeah, no, Rec Talk's fantastic. I like Rec Talk.
It's okay. That's fine. I'll take care of this.
Rec Talk is better. SRY. No, it's fine. You don't have to even remove them. I don't care. It's the idea that it's just wild. Yeah. All right. We're going to rock out of here. An hour and 7 minutes, way too long. Let's get out of here. Hey, we'll catch you once again Wednesday night previewing the games, and we're releasing Dr. Bob's spreadsheet, which is going to be a lot of fun. Very, very interesting. We'll talk to you next time, whatever it is. Wild show. Off
Words
the rails.
Are hard.
Words
off the wheel. Words are hard. We'll see you next time. Crowded Booth. Sorry, radio station.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.